So today in the shop we had several goals, and working around some crazy weather we managed to get everything done that we set out to do. The primary job was to get some of the snow removed and take care of that because Joe was coming down with the clear. I wanted to make a pathway that he could get in the driveway. I wanted to finish up the sanding, the final sanding on his part, maybe even get a little prime on it. I was happy. There were a couple other little repairs I tried to show on video. And it was a special day because it never really snowed enough that it held up production. But we had crappy enough weather that it wasn't an appropriate painting day either. So we ran out of time at the end of the day, but we did get everything done that we set out to do. And it was a special day for another reason. It was every year this time of year. It's my late mom's birthday, and Karen and I celebrate it by having a little, in memory of my mom, a little pancake, waffle, bacon supper. And we got a minute of that to share. And here's Joe trying to steal my GS. Good choice. Now today we really, hopefully are going to have a day that we can do some painting because the weatherman says it's going to warm up and it's going to clear up and the sun is going to come out and pigs are going to fly. I don't know. Well, I don't know who to believe anymore. It's a world gone wild, a winter gone wild. But anyway, we will try to come up with a plan for today. We have the second side of the fairing ready for a final sand out before we can put some red paint. We have a wheel and another side of the fairing ready for clear, and we're just waiting to hear from Joe if the clear came today, tomorrow, and then we'll make a final plan. In the meantime, we have all our batteries to charge. We have our ice to chop. And the main thing you never want to forget, we have coffee to drink. So the way this is all playing out, I had originally thought plan 1, which I detailed on the last video, that changed to plan 2, plan 3, plan 4. Anyway, and now hopefully we can get everything ready during this bad weather that when we get that day we can paint. We'll have a lot of things prepped up. So my goal today, rather than pull off the other wheel, which was one of the choices, I'm going to try to get the side 2 of the DUCATI fairing ready for paint. Should this day clear up, and you never know when that's going to happen, but you never know. It's like being on the Titanic. You never know when you're going to hit the iceberg, so, or not hit it, I don't know. But anyway, we make the most out of whatever comes our way. Now another thing, whenever possible, I've been trying to include at the end of the video some pictures from my album, what I will call right now an extensive album. I think I have 10,000 pictures and photographs and little short videos going back a long way, going back further than I care to recommend. But so at the end of every video, when there's time, when I haven't used up the day cursing and screaming and sanding and whatever, I always like to look for some great memories because a lot of my friends, a lot of people on the A-team are in those old videos, and we'll try to include them whenever possible. This is the main thing this morning, is we need to be able to get into the garage. They're only about maybe less than an inch of snow, but I don't want Joe to trip carrying that clear paint. We got to get in and see our babies this morning. So the first thing every day is to get this ice chopped and it looks like that wouldn't be a big deal to do. It's a real pain when it's cold like this, but it's supposed to warm up. What fun. Just couldn't be any more fun than this. And there's an indication of how warm it's getting. We're seeing one window of Karen's car. Main thing is to get that sacred painting table cleaned up. Holy mackerel. Just in case the weather changes and we can get that clear sprayed. Not sure how this day is going to play out. Every day's an adventure. And there's the best way I know to start every day off. Can't be a better way to start the day off. I don't know, the birds don't seem to mind the snow as much as I do. Oh yeah. Feed me. My late mom, who lived to be 87, God bless her, and on her birthday every year, Karen and I do a special thing. She loved pancakes and waffles, And so what Karen does is she plans a very special meal for supper of pancakes and waffles, and which she's planning right now. Anyway, and Mom, hey, needless to say, we miss you. So here we go. I've got to plan out a day now, and this is, I always try to have these things. This is the next part of the job, is that this needs to be smooth sanded, and then I've got to wait for some painting time. There's a little reinforcement to put in here I've got to make. So what I'm trying to do is, before I get too involved in anything, make a plan for today. So as I'm getting ready here, I thought this was just priceless. This is today's paper. And how appropriate is the headline on today's paper, the opening. Frozen in time. Holy mackerel. And I did communicate with Joe, and he is coming over today with the clear. So I thought I'd work on this morning, but all right, we're ready to start working on this now. Yesterday I did take some time. This is all done with 180, so there's really some deep scratches in this. There's a big scratch right here I got to work on. I just roughed it out. There's a repair up here. I've got to radius that in and get that taken care of. And there was a soft spot here, but the CA seems to have hardened it up. So the next thing, of course, is to get some nice soapy hot water, get the gloves on, and get some, what I want to do now, I'll explain this. Did this with 180. You see how that's feathered in? Now I'm going to try to feather it in with maybe some 220 or 320, and then ultimately with some 600. But each time I'm going to make that feather edge go out further and further. So, but I want to leave the last a little bit lower than that line. Now, luckily, this is not a part of the bike that you focus on when you first look at the bike. So if this is not exactly perfect, this is the spot I want it to be a little bit not perfect rather than up here. But my first choice is I'd like it all to be perfect, and we will strive for that today. So let me focus on this little chipped edge first. Now this is one of the little repair areas I wanted to work. You see I've got the roll of sticky back paper. I'm going to try to get the radius first so this blends in relatively smoothly. Then I want to radius it around the back, radius it around the front, radius in every dimension. As long as we're going to work on these parts and we got them and it's in the middle of the winter and we're frozen in time. Well, how appropriate is that showed up? After all, last week I've been thinking about that movie. That's a National Geographic, I think, movie, but it is on YouTube, by the way. If you have any interest in aviation, wow, that is a must-see. Anyway, and if you like restorations, that's like the ultimate restoration. Okay, so that cleaned up. Now, as I'm working here, I'm going to go get some 400 and try to get that out to here, and then finish it off with 600 and try to just each smoother grit make that go out further and further. And I think we'll be able to do that in roughly an hour or so. And sooner or later, we're going to be waiting for Joe to get here. I got to go make sure that driveway's clean. He doesn't trip carrying a clear paint. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing a job like this, similar to this, I start thinking, how many hours am I putting into this? Well, you know, then I think, well, what are the choices here? Yeah, we really have no choice as far as replacing a part. There's not going to be a website that says, oh, DUCATI 888 fairings are available for $29.95. That's just not going to happen. So I kind of think we don't have a lot of choices. And this is the one that we're able to do. We're certainly able to do. And I know, for sure, I know Joe's passion for this stuff is just like mine. He wants it as good as he can have it. And he's making the effort at getting the material. And once we get that clear in-house, now what's going to happen is then we're going to be subject, well, we're always subject to the weather, but they're predicting more snow to come, but I'm not going to compromise. The day that we put the clear on these parts, it had better be perfect out there and no chance that a big drop of an icicle is going to fall in them or something. So this is the dilemma we face, is the patience. It's always about the patience. So as you can see, I'm just working this part. And I do this all by feel. I could actually do this with the lights out. I can still feel that. But I'm trying to do it with the block so I get no chance I get any rough. Well, I see I've got a little spot there. But each time I get to the finer grit, and in the end, when I wind up with 600, this will all be taken care of. And I'll hopefully have it that I cannot feel any imperfection before I put that first coat of paint on. Now this is in fast forward, of course, and this is a part, even though we're not going to see it, you probably won't ever see it unless you crash the bike again. But here's the whole thing. I want it to be perfect when it leaves the shop. It's my ego, my personality, or just that I'm a cranky old man, I guess is the right word. But I really do strive to make this as good as I possibly can. That's always the goal. I wanted to try to show. See these little chunks? And that's a chunk right in the primer. That's where the paint was really chunked out. But we got most of this here. That's got to get blended in. This is what I'm looking for, is that the whole part has this nice blend as I get into the finer and finer grits of sandpaper. I've got some chunks down here, even though this is underneath the motorcycle. You'd never see this. But down here you can see it's chunked out from, they're actually stone chips. Up here from doing track days, this is just chunks out of the paint. And what I'm going to do now, of course, this is just a thing now of just sanding. Now I'm going to go to the next finer grit, do the whole thing over again with probably 600 and maybe end up with 1000, but I want to have, and nothing smoother than 1000 because I want that paint to get a mechanical tooth. But of course, like everything on every job we do here, it's labor intensive and a labor of love. Again in fast forward, and you can imagine, when you think of what the definition is of a labor of love, this is a labor of love. This is just endless labor. Well, I've got 99% of this. I think the only thing I'm going to have to do is finish this off with some 600. And I'm thinking one good sand out with 600 here. I've got a half a sheet. I'll use it up on this. And I think we'll be ready. Well, we're not going to be ready because it's an unpaintable day, but we'll have the part prepped. Now the whole idea is we have all these parts prepped and ready to go. And at some point in time, we're waiting for Joe, or we're waiting for weather, or both. And we'll have this prepped by the time Joe gets here. It looks like this, and I did it with a rubber glove. I think that is the most efficient way of doing it, the best way. I've got almost no flaw. I cannot feel this if it was dark. Could not feel a thing here. I think that'll be ready now. I'm hesitating to think. What I want to do is put a light coat of primer over this, just so the paint sticks better. I'm not sure if I can whizzle my way outside and get that done right now. I don't know. This is one of those things. With snow in the forecast, I hate to get anything started outside, but maybe I can do it by the back exit way. Yeah, that looks like that's going to be really, really good. And that, believe me, is a lot of work. It's amazing how much work that is. So what I decided to do here, this is this is like not the first choice, of course, but I can open up the back cellar door. I prep this part up, and I'd like to just get where we have this raw polyester resin, just get some primer on that. The primer acts as glue. We're really just using it as glue. I should be able to do that, and of course this is primer sealer. What that'll help do is seal the edges where the paint starts and ends. And if you're going over very old paint, a lot of times the new paint will just show that edge forever. So this is kind of where there's more of an art here than a science. So far that's sanded out well, and I'm about maybe 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch from the tape. So what I'll do is back mask that area just to avoid any overspray, and see if it's my lucky day and I can get some primer on that. And what happens whenever we use tin foil, one of the things that happens is the camera sees the light reflecting off the tin foil, and it makes it look like it's midnight. Well, no, I didn't shut all the lights off to save electricity. That's just part of this stuff that we do. This is just to try to keep some overspray off it. And let's see if I can sneak this in. Now, of course, the idea here is to get on several light coats, avoid getting any runs. Now, a good tip, if we have any fish eyes or any bad areas here, we can just wipe this primer right off with a clean paper towel and do it over again. But so far it looks like this is pretty good. But you never know. You never know until you finish something like this, if you're going to have a fish eye or a fingerprint or whatever. Now obviously that's going to dry up, and then we'll see how that, if that's going to need to be sanded and another coat. If there are any imperfections in there we can get out, and then we'll be ready to do red. But it's not a real painting day. I wouldn't do anything but primer today. Now I got this drying up by the heating vent for a while. So it is so damp and cold out there. There's one spot on here I see that I really don't like, but what I'm going to do, once I sand that primer out, see what'll happen is when I go to paint the red, I'll move that down, 1/8 of an inch down, 1/8 of an inch down every time I spray it. So hopefully I'll get a blend. And this is all mystery meat. This is the kind of stuff, not many people are willing to do this kind of work because it's so tentative and there's so many things that can go wrong. Now, there is a spot, and I don't know what it is because we're dealing with polyester resin. It's very old. Could be some contamination. It still could have mold release in there under the paint that we've uncovered that little bit they didn't take off when they cleaned the mold. I don't know. No idea. But I do know we'll be able to resolve it. It's just a question of, if I can't get that little stripe out, what I'll do, sand it back down and cover it with thin CA and then resand it. Hopefully I won't have to do that, but that is the cure when that type of thing happens. I thought I'd mention some information may be useful. Whenever you got old paint, this is really old paint, and again, I don't know how many years, and you're going over old paint and you're sanding through it, and that primer sealer helps seal the edge. Not 100%, 99%. But you always have little things that you have to address and you have to go back over, and when you want that show quality finish. But here's the whole thing in a nutshell is, if you got a brand new part and you made the part and you know the history of it, then when you have a problem, you know what the problem is. See what happens with this, when I have a little, it looks like there's a little bit, it almost looks like part of the mold that, and it's right here, and I'll be able to fix it. I want to show this because other people may or may not be interested in that. And what'll cure that, one of the cures for, see, you almost can't feel it with your finger. One of the cures for that, another way to do this, because I don't want to use any Bondo, I can just put another coat of primer right on top of that, fill it in, and then block sand it down. There's a lot of ways with paint, as with everything. There's a lot of ways to do these things, but we're trying to pick the best way. I'm trying to pick the most efficient way, and I'm trying not to paint on a day like today. Boy, it's crappy out there. It's humid, and the humidity just goes right through you with the cold. But anyway, here's my point. Joe is on his way over here already. I want to get the clear. We basically have this part of it prepped up, but we have 2 parts ready for clear when the weather breaks, and I want to be ready. I'll take that part outside so I can show it to Joe, but until he gets here, I'll let it sit up by a heating vent. And up by a heating vent right now is our best choice to get that part to cure up. All right, Joe's due here any minute, and we're going to hang out in the garage. If he has the clear, all we'll need is the weather and we can move forward. But we're pretty much in good shape with this part today. It's worked out pretty good. So when Joe gets here, we can do a little bit of a color match, see if he's happy with that. Just peel back some of the tin foil. But we really can't do the color match until this part has a coat of clear on it. So in a way, this day is just a delivery day for the clear. But it's always good hanging out with Joe for an hour or so. So it looks like Joe arrived by dog sled today. Hey, be careful, that driveway's slippery. The guy didn't do a good shoveling job this morning. I'm going to have to cut his pay down. Peel back the tinfoil. It doesn't matter.
You know that the bike was gloss red, right?
Yeah, it was. No more. That's extra. I'm going to put another $500 on the job. No, just peel it back right up at the top where the blinkers are.
From here?
Yeah, pull it back. Now what I want to do, and just peel it back. I'm going to put new tin foil on. Now I want to see some red. Put them both close together. You're under fluorescent light, so it's going to be a little deceptive. Karen looked at it the day it was sunny, and she looked at it out in the garage, and she said, that's pretty close. Now she's got a way better eye than I have. for that kind of stuff.
My eye is confused between the gloss and the flat.
Yeah, that's why I
And
need
it's
to
hard
clear.
for me to
See?
look to see past that.
No, what I'm trying to do is interpolate. What I'm saying is now that we have the clear, I can put, as soon as we get a day, I can paint. I'll put one coat of clear on this because I want the decals to be buried.
Right.
Then when you come over, you can look at that shine gloss. Now see, I'm half good at doing it. Karen is excellent. I think you got a really good match there. And I know you talked to Color Right about this. And that, I think they did a pretty good job. That's a good match. But again, it's in the eye of the beholder. There's somebody, if you come out on a sunny day, there's no sun out there now, but you come on a sunny day, it looks very different. So, but what I'm saying, once I have the clear on.
But I don't have the eye for this really.
Yeah, and the thing
my eye is confused and it can't get past the flat versus the.
All that body work is, there's carbon fiber on the back. Now take that piece up and look at the rubber. The rubber is on that piece, I don't know, I'm going to try to paint it with the rubber installed.
Right.
But if it really gets to be a problem, I'll take it off and then we'll worry about it.
Okay.
I so far haven't had a problem, but when I go to put the clear, if all of a sudden little specks of rubber are flying up into the
Do
clear.
what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm going to try to salvage it right to the very end of the job. And this one, of course, did you find out about you got the original piece of rubber.
I have the original piece of rubber. I know you can't buy it.
Forget it.
I have to grab it and go to.
Oh man, he's got the exact bike with the exact everything. Did you ride yours with the new brakes? Were the rotors good?
Yes.
You told me, how many miles did you get? A couple hundred?
I got about 100 on it.
Okay. But the rotor, I got to decide. I didn't know, what Dallas told me, the rear rotor, a front rotor replaces the back one at a good weight saving. And you could pick them up and tell. And I got plenty of extra front rotors if you ever want to try one. So today ends, and we have the best of all possible worlds here. I have the clear, and I think I'm going to put the clear, what I'm going to try to do is mix one batch of clear, do the one fairing, the wheel, and try to do it with one batch of clear. That may work. I don't know. We're going to find out. What we are, of course, is always slaves to the weather. So, but we do have the clear in house now. We do have the primer drying. It's still some work to do on this. The decals left Australia, of all places. That blew me away when Joe told me that. Pretty cool anyway. So the project's moving along. We got the curvy girls. We're pretty much in good shape here. I guess I should be happy. It was a very productive day. And always a lot of fun chatting with Joe. We rehash all our racing experiences. He, of course, was an AMA racer. I was an AMAR racer, but we still have these funny stories, and some of them are pretty embarrassing. But then we were young then. We didn't know. We didn't know how it was going to all play out. Anyway, for me, it did play out okay. And so far, I want to thank the healthcare workers for helping it play out, that I didn't wind up on some statistic sheet. Anybody in my family, everybody's been sequestered and been safe, and I really do appreciate, guys, the effort you put into it. So I hope you did enjoy the video. We are going to wait for some really good weather and try to mix up a batch of this American, I don't know, we'll put this all on the video when we shoot the clear, and get that fairing is sitting up by a heating vent. The wheel is ready for clear. The red part, the one fairing is ready for clear. All we need is weather. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you guys so much for watching. So this is my mom's picture, and every year on her birthday we have a pancake. She loved pancakes and waffles. We have a pancake waffle bacon supper in honor of my late mom. And her real claim to fame is she put up with my father and his motorcycle madness, basically until he passed away. And my mom really loved her waffles, and we make homemade waffles on her birthday every year. Oh, Mom, if you only knew how good those homemade waffles taste. Oh my God. Oh, if that isn't the most delicious waffle. And crispy bacon. Oh my God. That is delicious. Thank you. In honor of my mother. After a nice tribute, I just was thinking, I wonder who was more of a pain in the neck. To be with my father when he was alive, or be with me. And I don't know, maybe it's a tie. Mom, you put up with me through thick and thin. Oh boy.
Was I ever worth it or what?
So as always, we try to post up something motorcycle related with a little touch of personal things that go on in our lives. Because in the end, what we're really doing is sharing our lives, whether we like it or not. Not really up for debate. Anyway, I wanted to close out the video with some nostalgic photos of this. I was working on Luciano's Ducati. This is the one he got from Joe. We had some issues with the paint. I tried to touch it up. We repainted the clear. I don't remember, and I do remember we did it more than once. I know if I remember right, and here we're using a real old Harbor Freight gun. One of the things I remember is Luciano was not happy with the paint match that he got at Gavin's, and we did the paint over again, and he got more decals, and but I'd have to remember just how many adventures we had with that yellow Ducati. Now that yellow Ducati wound up going to Denver. His son has it in Denver, and I rode it. It was a great bike. It belonged to Joe, and Joe had it for many years. And he sold it to Luciano, and that's how we met Joe Roselli, by the way, at the place where the bike was for sale up in New York State. Anyway, what happens with all these old pictures? They bring back memories. Here it is when I was making the R1 seat. This is a part that's made from wood, believe it or not. That little piece in the front is carbon fiber. And, of course, it's got a typical finish on it. But a lot of people don't believe it. And when I take the key and take it off the bike and show them it's a piece of wood, it's actually end-grain balsa wood, that the thing that they make racing boats out of. It's a very high-tech thing called, it's not Nomex. I don't remember the name of it. Nomex is the honeycomb stuff. But anyway, hey, it's all interesting. There's a lot of good memories, even those memories of my mom, my late mom. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.